Hi guys, my name is Shakil. So today we're gonna talk about death, and I want to give you fast ways how you can process the death of a loved one. So why should you listen to me? I am quite interested in philosophical topics, and I've read a lot of books. Especially now, what is helping me is meditations from Marcus Aurelius. And death is a very tragic thing, and it is a serious topic that comes with a lot of pain, and we have to be careful what we say about it. But I think I can give some fast ways you can process the death of a loved one and some advice, especially if you lost someone or if you're right now in the grieving process and your worldview got shattered. So let's talk about it. So imagine your doctor tells you that you're going to die tomorrow or at least after tomorrow. Would you attach any significance of the difference of a day? Ask yourself that question. Just one day, less or more, would you attach any significance to that? Honestly, I wouldn't. Since I spent so many days in my life, already 26, quite of young age, but you can count that by yourself. So, how significant is one day actually? Ask yourself this question. It's an interesting question. And I think it comes with a lot of problems. The problem that we maybe value life itself too much. The problem of society is the othermost significance of life itself. Because ask yourself this: if I experience the death of a loved one and it is tragic, and we as society give this extremely incredible value to life itself, but life is so fragile and so it is so vulnerable. And if it is really like that, ask yourself, can it really be worth so much if it's so fragile? And is it really so significant? And you see, actually, because we as people hold this worldview of life that it is of uttermost significance, that is so important, and that it is all that we actually have. So we need to value ourselves and to put ourselves in such a safe environment where we cannot risk death and anything that comes with it. So basically, we are going to be cowards, and we have this extremely valuable worldview that is environed in our whole brain and body, and we are so attached to it that what happens is, because you have this wiring, that at the point that something happens, a friend of you died, a loved one, or anything of that, your worldview is gonna get shattered, and it's gonna get break down into pieces, and it is your mind, you get destruction arrives and chaos, and you start to get lost in chaos because you cannot make a prediction and you cannot sense everything, because you have your worldview that is here and the shattering of your worldview, as if you would break a glass, as if you would hold a mirror and you shatter it down on the ground. Because the mirror itself, its fragility, it is a metaphor for reality, the ground who gets which shatters it, right? So it is a contradiction it's in itself, because the mirror isn't as seen as fragile and is pieces and as destruction, it it in its thousand parts. And what actually happens now after that, you are in a state of chaos. And in that state of chaos, because chaos is so wild and so undetermined, you are lost. It's like giving a person freedom. Give them millions of dollars. Before they had work, they had purpose. You give them a millions of dollars. They have freedom, but fine. They're in chaos now because they don't know what to do with their time. They are lost. And the same thing happens to you when you die. When someone dies, a loved one, sorry. And just what happens is you are in chaos. You will go through it through months, through weeks, months, maybe years. And during that process, you start to hold yourself on, you start to search for guidance and responsibilities, for a direction in life, to put yourself out of the chaos. So you start to rebuild your delusional worldview again, with those patterns of same beliefs that caused the destruction, that caused really the destructions, because it happened and your worldview got shattered. And you all go back in those process to reconcile the same worldview that shatters you in the first place. And it's not only your thoughts, your conscious thoughts, it's in the subconscious, it's in the wiring of the human itself. And here comes Marcus Aurelius in place with meditation. I will read some sentences that I picked from the book of Meditations. And as of right now, I reconciled it in my own words, and now I will do the same, but I will read some parts of it to you, so it actually makes sense. Just as if God told you that you would going to die tomorrow, or at least the day after tomorrow, you would attach no importance to the difference of one day unless you're a complete coward. Such is the tiny gap of time. So you should think there is no great difference between life of the umpteenth year and life to tomorrow. Think constantly how many doctors have died after knitting their brows over their own patients, how many astrologers after predicting deaths of others as if death were something important, how many philosophers after endless deliberations on death or immortality, how many heroes after the many others. They killed how many tyrants after using their power over men's lives with monstrous insolence, as if they themselves were immortal. Think to you how many whole cities have died, Hellas, Pompeii, Herculaneum. Others go over now all those you know yourself, one after another. One man follows a friend's funeral. One man follows a friend's funeral, and is then laid out himself. Then another follows him, and all in a brief space of time. The conclusion of this: you should always look on human life as short and cheap. And this is very interesting. Yes, you know why? Because if life is so fragile, and if all this tremendous, ferocious event can happen to you, maybe you shouldn't hold on this false belief of this worldview that society is predicting upon us. Maybe you should really look as human life as short and cheap, because I think this is the answer. Because if you have this perception of life is short and cheap, you don't follow in this shattering of the mirror of this previous perception that is a delusion. You don't fall for the traps, you see the truth. And the truth sets you free. It liberates you. And it's a great thing to do. And I'm an advocate of the truth. And yesterday's sperm is tomorrow a mummy or ashes. Maybe you see someone who is very old and you think you are going to die tomorrow. But you see yourself as young, so you have the perception that you will live for a long time. and that actually that your subconscious is in denial with death itself. That is what we're doing. It's a strategy to prevent ourselves from this ferocious, from this horrible accident that will all happen to us. And it gives a very delusional worldview, which causes an attachment, and that attachment causes the suffering because it happened. Not that death causes the death of another person causes the suffering in yourself. It is the death, the shattering of your perception, of your worldview that you hold as so tremendously valuable and important. But if you shatter the worldview itself, it relieves you. I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm not saying that it isn't horrible if you, when you experience the loss of a loved one. It is horrible. It will be painful, no matter what I say. It will be horrible, and we cannot justify or anything of death, anything of that. And also, we cannot take we cannot take the pain that caused this event, articulate it in a way that relieves every aspect of this pain. It's not possible. I'm sorry, I can't do this. I'm not God or a higher entity or anything like that to do that. But I'm just telling you how it is, how it will help. So yes, ask yourself the coward who hid in the bushes only to survive for some days more, or the one who betrayed another person only so he can live for a couple days, for a couple years longer. And what did he ultimately gain? You can ask yourself this question. Or ask yourself this question: if either I die tomorrow or I die in 3 years, what difference is it actually going to make? What is the gain over the untimely death? What do I actually gain over it? Because it doesn't matter, right? At any rate, they're all in their graves now. The older you get, you realize the distance we have to travel is small, and we drag it out with such labor, in such poor company, in such a feeble body, then it must no great thing. If life can be so miserable and have all these aspects which are negative, how can it really be such a great thing? And I'm not advocating nihilistic worldviews or anything that shatters the person itself. I'm pro-life, really. Understand me, I'm pro-life. But ask yourself of the significance of it. And maybe if there isn't something that is laid out for us in destiny or anything that is bigger than life itself, look behind you at the huge gulf of time and another infinity ahead. In this perspective, what is the difference between an infant of 3 days and a nester of 3 generations? Always run on the short road, and nature is short, go. And you need to ask this question. And I hope it helped you guys, what I told you, what my worldview is, what I implemented of the book Meditation. It's actually a great book. Meditation is a philosophical book of Marcus Aurelius, and I'm quite stunned. Anyway, guys, my name is Shakil. Nice to meet you. I hope I could have gave you a little bit value and insights, and I hope you subscribe to this channel to watch further content. I'm interested in learning about topic. I'm interested about learning about specific topics, and also to shatter a little bit of worldviews that the society are giving or implementing in our conscience and are currently false, So have a great evening, guys. Nice to meet you.